This video is for Chem 2204, that's second year organic chemistry. And today we're going to be going through experiment number 7. This is the preparation of methyl benzoate and its reaction with Phenyl Grignard. So this experiment is going to last for 3 weeks. On your first lab period, you need to come prepared with your pre-lab done and be ready to write the quiz for all 3 parts of the experiment. And again, a reminder that all of your experiments are to be done in the fume hood, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to be raising the sash and having it up high. You're going to be taking your 100 ml round bottom flask and measuring out the 10 grams of benzoic acid from the side at the balance. And you're going to bring it back to your bench. And we're going to add 25 mils of methanol. Okay. So we're going to be dissolving that in the methanol. Then we want to add 3 mils of the sulfuric acid. To do this, you want to make sure you're using a pipette to add it into the graduated cylinder. Never pour it into the graduated cylinder, it's very dangerous. The sulfuric acid is a corrosive liquid, so if you get it on your gloves, make sure you take your gloves off and replace them. So this is going to be about 3 different squeezes of the pipette bulb. Sometimes you'll need a little bit more because sulfuric acid is very thick. Then on this last one here, I'm just going to bring the graduated cylinder up a little bit just so I can see if I'm approaching the 3 mil line or not. I'm just going to add a little bit more. So now we're going to add that into the reaction flask. And you can use your pipette to add this because you don't want to splash it everywhere. So again, we're adding the sulfuric acid into the reaction flask where the methanol and the benzoic acid are. And this is just going to help us to dissolve it here. And then we're going to be setting it up on the reflux condenser. Give that a little swirl, and we're going to put this in here. Make sure you've set up your heating mantle on a ring clamp so that you can drop the heat if the reaction gets out of control or starts bubbling a little too much. So we're just going to lower our condenser now onto here, and we're actually going to replace this clamp onto the round bottom flask here because you want your clamp to be right here, just in case you have to drop the heat. You don't want to drop the heat and have the round bottom flask fall out the bottom. So we're going to just redo this. And I already have it set up so that the water's going through the condenser. So again, the water comes in through the bottom and then out through the top, and you just need a slow trickle. So we're going to bring this down. You want to make sure that it's sitting there tightly, and we're going to tighten that clamp around the bottom. And there we go. So now you're going to turn on your heat, and remember that you're plugged into the variac, not the regular plug, so we don't blow a fuse. And so we're going to start to heat this up. And you want to bring it to a boil, but you don't want it to be boiling too much so that there's bumping. And we're going to heat this up in reflux for 1 hour. Okay, so we're setting the variac probably at about 50 is good to get it started. And then depending on how fast it's boiling, you can adjust from there. You might have to turn it down a bit. But that's a good starting point to get it going. So just keep an eye on it and adjust from there. So what's happening here is we have it at a boil, so everything, the solvent is evaporating, and then it's going to condense on the walls of the glass, cooled by the water, and then it's going to drip back down. And this is going to help us heat the reaction without losing the solvent and the products that are in there. If the heating is going too fast and you're not able to bring the temperature down fast enough, then what we can do, because we've set this up on a ring clamp, is we can lower the ring clamp and bring the heating mantle out so that we can bring fresh air in around the round bottom flask. And so now that you have this going, you're going to wait 1 hour until the reflux is done. That will ensure that the reaction has gone to completion, and then we're going to show you how to isolate this compound. So once you've been refluxing for about an hour, you can remove your heating mantle by dropping the ring clamp down and removing the heating mantle, and then you just let your solution cool down to room temperature or close to room temperature, and then we're going to be doing a liquid-liquid extraction in order to isolate your compound. You have seen liquid-liquid extraction before in an experiment from last semester, so you can re-watch the video there to remember how it goes. I'll just get you started off here. We have our solution with the condenser still on it, so as it's cooling down to room temperature, make sure your condenser is still on the top. But we can remove it now that is cooled down. I'm just going to take this off and put it up here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our solution and transfer it into a 250 ml separation funnel. And you can see some smoke because we have our solution a little too hot, so you want to make sure it's fully cooled because we want to avoid this evaporation that you can see happening, because this, you can lose some product that way. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add 50 mils of water. And you'll see your two layers separating out, and then you're going to do your separation. So in order to make sure that we've transferred all of the product from the flask into the separatory funnel, we're just going to give the flask a little rinse with some extra ether. So I have 25 mils of ether here, so I'm going to add about half of it and just kind of make sure that we get all the walls here, and we're going to transfer that in. And I'm going to do that rinse again. I'm going to split my 25 mils into 3 different portions just to make sure I get a good transfer. And then one more time. So that will just make sure that we get the best yield that we can. So once you've had your water added to the ether phase, you're going to do your first extraction. Then you're going to do another extraction with 25 mils of water again. And then 2 more washes of 25 mils of 5% sodium bicarbonate. And then for a final wash, you're going to add 50 mils of the saturated sodium chloride solution. So each of these washes, you're going to be removing the aqueous phase and saving the organic layer, because that's where your product is. And once you've done that and you've isolated, or you just have your organic phase remaining in your separatory funnel, you're going to be filtering that through a cone with sodium sulfate, a drying agent, just in case to remove any excess water that might be in there. And then you're going to be taking that ether phase in a beaker over to the steam bath and just evaporating it dry. And that's going to be the isolation of your compound, and you can save that for the second week of the lab.